Hello and welcome to another edition of TV Enthusiast Weekly Show, Marvel vs. DC vs. TVE. I'm Will Rohrig, the host. Joining me today is Tyson Gifford, editor-in-chief of TV Enthusiast.
Hello.
And tonight we will be discussing the latest episodes of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well as Legends of Tomorrow.
I
Flash
thought
and...
I thought the Flash was this week too, but it wasn't.
No, it's still on hiatus. It's next week, I believe.
Yeah.
Unless
I
I'm
think last week I said it was going to be this week, and I was
I
wrong.
think so too. Like I was actually like looking out for it this week, and it never materialized. Nope. Flash and Arrow are still on hiatus for at least another week, so it's gonna be a short episode tonight because only two shows to talk about. But let's just jump right into it. Let's start with Legends of Tomorrow. I think Legends had their most fun episode yet. This is what I expected the show to be doing from the jump. And the fact it took so long to get here is kind of disappointing, but we're here. Now we're doing fun stuff because this episode, they go to the Old West. So finally we got like this cool like period piece, like, set in like a fun period of history the Old West that you could really have fun with.
Finally, it felt like a time travel show.
Yeah, it felt like a time. Exactly. Also, a very familiar DC Comics character makes his appearance in this episode. Pretty much the only way you can get this character into the Arrowverse. They managed to do it. Yeah, I'm talking about Jonah Hex, of course.
I heard he's been in the present in the comic books, but it's because of time travel. Like he's been brought in by something through time travel.
Oh, probably. Who knows?
That would be kind of cool to see.
That would be kind of cool.
Like Jonah Hex on. I was going to say Arrow, but screw that because.
You mean Jonah Hex on Felicity? Hell yeah. That would be cool.
He just pulls out a 6-shooter and shoots her in the head. He's all, I just fixed the show.
I was thinking would be pretty cool if they made like a Felicity spinoff about the Green Arrow.
They already did. It's called Arrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jonah Hex was cool to see. I liked the one part where I think it was Ray Palmer was talking to him and said, on our ship we can get something to fix, and Jonah's like, what?
Yeah. It's like, what? And he's like, never mind.
That was really funny.
The whole episode was like about like this kind of moral dilemma, like should you, just because you can, should you like do the right thing to like change the past or whatever? Like there were two big dilemmas. There was this gang terrorizing this town, and then there was also Dr. Stein ran into this young boy dying of an easily curable disease. Well, at least easily curable to him.
Consumption, which is tuberculosis.
Yeah, tuberculosis. Easily curable to him because he had the means to, make a cure, but not easily curable in the time period. Yeah. And then there was debate, well, what ramifications would introducing a vaccine, changing the timeline basically was the big concern with both of those. And then we find out like Rip Hunter actually has like a past with Jonah Hex. Like it's unexpected. My favorite scene was when Jonah Hex calls them out and says, "You're time travelers," or "You're not from this time."
So maybe I should have asked when you're from.
Maybe I should ask when you're from. And then he goes, He says, "You think you're the first time travelers I've ever seen?" And then Dr. Stein's like response is like priceless. He just says, "Yes."
Speaking of Stein, we got a little bit more background on him as well. With him playing poker and he revealed that he knows how to play poker because his father was kind of a scoundrel and played poker and wasn't really a great man, and that he had chosen to take a different path. And so it was like a little bonding moment between him and Captain Cold.
Yeah.
That ended with Captain Cold saving his life by shooting.
Yeah, by shooting a guy, yeah, which happened to be a member of this gang, which incited this gang to go after this town, and then Ray Palmer decides he has to be a hero.
Have you ever seen The Magnificent Seven or Seven Samurai?
No.
Because that's what this is based on. This is Magnificent Eight, I think, is what they actually called the episode.
Yeah, they called it Magnificent Eight.
Yeah, there's a Western called Magnificent Seven, which was in turn a remake of Akira Kurosawa's classic film, The Seven Samurai. And basically it's about a group of 7 heroes that end up having to stick up for and teach a town how to defend itself from bandits. And so in Seven Samurai, it was samurai that were masterless samurai, Ronin, that were in a village, and they got recruited by this very small, poor village that basically wasn't even able to offer that much, but ended up kind of convincing them on their honor to come to their village and help defend them against these bandits. And then in Magnificent Seven, it was kind of the same kind of premise. It was a bunch of kind of cowboys and outlaws that kind of banded together to teach these villagers how to protect themselves and to help protect them against invading bandits that were going to harm the town. So this is basically the same premise as those movies.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So, yeah, so basically the most interesting thing, though, is like Rip Hunter, like the whole episode, like Rip Hunter's first thing he says is like, nobody's leaving the ship. We're just hiding out here. And then, like, everybody, like, protests because they're like, we're in the Old West. We want to check it out. You know? and Rip Hunter never leaves the ship once. And furthermore, Jonah Hex, like, knows him. And then we find out the reason why Rip Hunter's acting the way he does is because he has been to the Old West before. He's run into Jonah Hex. You know, he's worked with Jonah Hex in his last visit. And Rip Hunter explains he just simply got, you know, addicted to being, like, to that time period, to being there.
Mm-hmm. It fed into his heroes complex.
It fed into his heroes complex. He explains, like, that time period, that place and time offers so many opportunities to be a hero that he kind of became addicted to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he explains, you know, eventually he had to go back to his wife.
We also find out that he named his child after Jonah.
Yep, we find out he named his child after Jonah, and Jonah gave him his coat. So we find that out.
The origin story of the coat.
The origin story of the coat. But the big thing is, you know, once he left that time period, you know, a gang, you know, that he had been holding at bay, but, you know, suddenly, you know, took over and burned down the town that apparently Rip was helping to protect. And Jonah Hex, you know, he blames Rip Hunter for that because Rip Hunter left and then that happened.
And Rip knew it was going to happen too, so that's like part of it.
And that's part of it too. Rip knew it was going to happen. But Rip's fine, you know, he had to leave sometime, you know.
Yeah. He had to get out of there. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else kind of happened in the episode.
Well, Hawk Girl ran into one of her past lives.
An older version of her, yeah.
And it basically boiled down to, you can never love anybody but Hawkman ever. Always ends
junk.
It always ends badly unless it's Hawkman.
More forced romantic turmoil.
Right, and I that's the one thing I didn't want on this show is forced romantic turmoil. I thought wow, with this show's premise and everything, I don't think there's a lot of room for romance. Nope, they found it. They found the end. They're like, oh, we're going to shove that crap in no matter whether you like it or not. I'm like, really? Can we not do this? Because this is just going to drag the show down. I can already see it.
Yeah. You knew what you were getting into when you tuned into the CW.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like, I thought the CW was past this shit. We're proving you wrong. We are not past this shit. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a fun episode. All the kind of Western motif stuff was really great and fun to watch. You're a big fan of Westerns, aren't you?
Not really.
I thought it was. Oh no, never mind. I thought earlier we had talked about that. I know you like Deadwood and stuff. So
I like Deadwood. I mean, I like Quentin Tarantino's westerns, I guess.
You like the more stylized westerns.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
Comic book westerns.
I don't know. I don't like John Wayne stuff or whatever.
Yeah,
that's like cheesy as heck.
I got a recommendation for you then. Have you ever seen the movie The Quick and the Dead?
I've heard of it.
It's I think there's an older version that's something else, but there's one that was directed by Sam Raimi. And it has Sharon Stone and Russell Crowe in it, like Russell Crowe before he was known. And it's like a Western, but like a very comic booky Western. Like the way it's done, it's these kind of weird, crazy angles, and there's a bit of gore, and it's just kind of different from like your typical Western. It kind of has that fun comic booky kind of vibe to it, where it's kind of highly stylized. So you might dig that. But let's get back to Legends of Tomorrow, which is it was definitely cool to see Jonah Hex. And like you said, this is the most fun they've done on the show. They really got into the kind of theme of it, which means next week it's just going to be another boring episode. Next week's going to take place right around the present, I think, because they're having to deal with the Omega protocol, the Pilgrim.
Oh yeah, the Pilgrim is going to go back in time and kill their past selves, which is like lame. Any time traveler could do that. Come on, it's like I like that. They're like, this is the best agent we have. They have, to get the job done. Just gotta go back in the past and kill you before you were you. And it's like, couldn't any of their agents have done that? Like, really?
Yeah.
Like,
so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's funny because now I'm watching 12 Monkeys, which comes out on Monday, I think. And it's another time travel show. And it's like it'll do all these really smart time traveling things. And then I go and watch Legends of Tomorrow. And I'm like, dumb time travel stuff.
Yeah. Oh, well. It is what it is. Legends of Tomorrow so far is not the show I hoped it would be. It's decently entertaining, but
it could be so much more.
It could be so much more. There's so much potential there that I think feels just being squandered.
They should have looked at it as like their chance to basically make an American Doctor Who.
Yeah,
that's how they should have seen it. They should have said, "Look, the sky's the limit." We could have dinosaurs and we could have spaceships and we could do anything, and they're not really living up to that.
I think what's holding them back is their over reliance on the same tropes that they're using for Arrow and Flash, right into the ground. Like they're over reliance on like these tropes that they keep using.
Yeah,
and it's like if they just break out of their comfort zone, and try to do something ambitious, then this show could be something more. But It doesn't seem like they want to, if they have the capacity to.
I definitely kind of like that it has nothing to do with Vandal Savage.
Yeah.
This episode, which makes you think like, maybe they could kind of take care of Vandal Savage like in the season or something and then move on to something else, because the whole kind of tie between Vandal Savage and Hawkman and Hawkgirl, all that angle has always been something I have not liked at all in the show.
It feels like they could. I feel like they could get rid of Vandal Savage at the end of the season, move on to something else next season. I actually see them doing it.
Definitely, with the fact that the Time Council is kind of hunting them, and you could bring up much more interesting things from that angle than the whole Vandal Savage thing, which just has not been, for the most part, has not been hitting.
No, it has not at all. So now let's talk about a much better show, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which
or Malick's Agents of Brother.
Well, this was a Malick focused episode, heavily focused on Malick. It's good to get some backstory on him since they revealed him as a major villain in the season. I think Powers Booth did an excellent job. We start with like a visibly shaken Malick. He had just touched an Inhuman who made him see a vision of his own death. And he believes that his death is by the hands of Hive, the parasite infecting the dead body of Grant Ward now, who has invited himself to Malick's house and called all the remaining leaders of Hydra to Malick's place for a meeting. And Malick is positive that this is where he dies, based on his vision. And he spends the entire episode basically worried to death about that and thinking about his past, especially his past with his brother, who is introduced in this episode. It turns out that the ritual that we've seen earlier in the season, or earlier in the series, actually, where they draw pebbles, stones, and whoever draws the white stone goes through the stone and gets sacrificed to the monster on the other planet, which is here. Basically, we find out that they're actually a separate faction of Hydra than what Daniel Whitehall and his agents were representing, which was interesting to me to see that there were different divisions of Hydra even, Daniel Whitehall didn't seem to believe in all the stuff about the Inhuman from another planet. So we find out from this episode that Daniel Whitehall and his ambitions were separate from this, or at least had no connection to this, as Daniel Whitehall did not believe in this aspect of Hydra's mission.
It was cool the way they brought Whitehall in as kind of this older version of himself when he was in jail. And even though he's in jail, he still wields considerable power, is able to have meetings, and has Malick and his brother over when their father had just passed away to basically expose their father's secret, which is kind of like the driving plot device of this episode, which is a stone hidden in a book.
Yep, stone hidden in a book, because they find out their father's secret. Well, Whitehall confronts the young Malick with a simple but obvious question when you think about it. They've been doing this ritual for years and years, and how come Malick's father always comes out of it unscathed? How come he never had to be sacrificed? Considering how many times he must have had to have done the ritual. And, so Whitehall's suggesting right off the bat that Malick's father was cheating. Malick dismisses this offhand. Whitehall is trying to get into their heads, blah, blah, blah. But Whitehall suggests they check out a book that their father owns, Paradise Lost. And while Malick, the young Malick, dismisses this notion entirely and doesn't even bother to go look, his brother, on the other hand, kind of takes the suggestion, like I feel like he actually like sort of believes Whitehall and goes to check it out. And what he finds is that Whitehall was telling the truth, because he finds a white stone hidden in the book with a notch in it, so that their father can feel for the stone, know exactly what it is, and ensure that he does not draw that stone.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So he's been a big cheater this whole time, and the brothers are shocked and appalled by this. And so they make a pact that they will do, that they are not their father. They don't have to repeat their father's mistakes, and they will do the ritual the right way. And they cast the stone into the pond outside of their estate or whatever. Flash forward to the future. Meanwhile, S.H.I.E.L.D. is trying to figure out why the heck Grant Ward is back. What's possessing him? They have a good idea of what it is, the creature from the other planet, but they need to know what it is, what its powers are. They're studying it. We find out that it's parasites that the creature controls that eats like living flesh. They figure out that much.
They also figure out why they did the hostile takeover of that one business.
Yeah.
And it wasn't for the bionic suit that...
Yeah, I didn't think so. That seems kind of weak sauce. If that was the whole reason. No, it was because of research they were doing. They go to infiltrate that. They run into Guerrera, who is now, Grant Ward or Hive's right-hand man. He was Malick's right-hand man, but like it's clear that Hive is running the show now and not Malick. And Guerrera, clearly when Malick was like frantically calling for him to come to his side, he stuck by Hive. So he is now Hive's right-hand man. But he's there, and they trick him into this room with nothing in it that he can manipulate, and he goes mano a mano with May, and it's quite a fight. I mean, woohoo!
The actor they got is he's a martial arts actor.
Yeah,
he's been in a bunch of things. Mark Dacakis, I think his name is.
Yep.
He's been in a bunch of martial arts movies and shows and stuff.
And May eventually takes him down, and S.H.I.E.L.D. takes him into custody. Meanwhile, we get more insight. Coulson is haunted by the death of Grant Ward. Like, Grant Ward's image resurfacing, like seemingly alive, has just hammered it home for Coulson even more, to the point where Coulson is not comfortable with what went down on that planet. Coulson knows that he killed Grant Ward, but not for a good reason. Not because Grant Ward was dangerous, not because Grant Ward needed to be stopped. Not for any other reason but pure revenge. And Coulson knows that was not a good reason for what he did. Even though Fitz, kind of, like tries to assure Coulson, it's okay, and that Fitz is totally cool with it. Coulson himself is not cool with it.
Coulson realizes that the connotation of what he did, it wasn't that he killed Ward that's haunting him, it's that he killed him for what purpose he killed him. They killed him for revenge rather than for purpose, as in to stop him or...
Right, exactly. Like there's another scene where he's talking to May, and May says, "Well, you've killed plenty for S.H.I.E.L.D." and and he repeats that same, but that was for purpose. This was different. This is, and I like that line. Like Coulson says, I knew this would come back to haunt me. I just didn't know Grant would literally come back to haunt me. That was a cool line. The episode ends basically with Guerrera managing to escape his containment and taking control of the Shield Quinjet with like all the Shield agents on it, except for Daisy and Lincoln, who are off on another mission because Lincoln knew a guy in the sanctuary who had knowledge about the guy from, Ward, basically. He had knowledge about him, and so they go to find out what he knows, but this guy is like upset because, he was when he was at Sanctuary, he was deemed to be dangerous. He was deemed to not be worthy of having powers, even though he's inhuman, he hasn't been exposed to the mist, so he doesn't have powers. And he's like really angry about that. And he really doesn't.
Too bad he kept out of touch. He could have just gone after a bunch of fish oil pills.
I know, right? He should have stocked up on fish oil pills. What an idiot. But
he didn't know anything that was going on with the Inhumans and stuff. He's been kind of living under a rock.
Yeah, he's literally he lives out in the middle of the desert or something. Daisy and Lincoln go to confront him. He really doesn't like Lincoln. He has a special hatred for Lincoln. They confront him, stuff happens. Basically just is they trick him into giving up the only clue he has about this thing, which is like this Kree, like doohickey, like some ball or something.
I like Kree doohickey, I think is the correct term.
Yeah.
It's the technical name.
They trick him into giving them that thing by promising to give him a Terrigen crystal that would give him powers, but Lincoln at the last minute says, "Psych."
That would have been great if he literally did that. If he said "Psych,"
I know,
and ran off.
Yeah, and ran off. Which upsets him even more, and he slips and he lets slip to Daisy, that Lincoln has something dark in his past, like he almost killed an ex-girlfriend. As kind
which turned out to be a whole like non-issue anyways.
Yeah, which turned out to be a non-issue because like Daisy's like pressing him on the Quinjet over it, and he lets slip that, he got drunk, he got angry, and he got into a car, his girlfriend got in with him, and he wrapped it around a pole. So it's pretty bad, but it's less bad than like the way they made it sound like he intentionally like almost killed somebody. Like,
yeah, they made it sound like he beat on his girlfriend or something.
Yeah. So right after we find that out, we find out Guerrera has taken control of a Shield Quinjet with like pretty much everybody on the show except for them two. And then that's when Lincoln tells Daisy, you got to unite the Secret Warriors.
Finally.
The Secret Warriors Initiative.
All four of them.
Yeah, all four of them. Yeah, I know, right? Finally, what this season has been building up to, what they teased that before the season started, are finally getting. And so that was exciting. So I can't wait for the Secret Warriors now to take out Hydra and and Hive, This is going to be I think this is going to be an exciting ride leading up to the end of the season from here on out. So I'm looking forward to that.
Meanwhile, back with Malick and Hive.
Oh, that's right. Meanwhile, back with Malick and Hive. Hive reveals, we learned that Hive has the memories of like everybody he took on as a host. And one of those people he took on as a host was Malick's brother. How? Well, remember that promise Malick made earlier when he was like younger with his brother that they were going to do things right? No, they didn't. Malick actually did the exact same thing his father did. Only 100 times worse, because instead of letting Joe Schmo take the fall, he let his own brother take the fall.
He didn't want his brother to take the fall, but they were the last two, and he chose himself over his brother.
Exactly. So he still let his brother take the fall.
Yeah.
So he cheated, and his brother paid the ultimate price. Became a host for Hive. And this is brought up because Hive has his brother's memories. This is all drug up, and Hive invites Malick's daughter in to hear this revelation, where we find out that Malick is basically no better than his father was. And so in retaliation, Hive announces he only needs one Malick by his side. He kisses Malick's daughter and then kills her as a saying, telling Malick he needed to experience sacrifice.
Which was kind of a swerve to comic book fans, because I know that in the comics, when Hive took a female form and became known as like Lady Hydra, and they'd kind of been pushing in that direction when they've been showing Malick's daughter going like, oh, she's going to become Lady Hydra.
Yeah.
They kind of didn't go that way.
Nope. They just killed Malick's. It's also a swerve too, because again, we were promised to see Malick's death. We kind of hinted everything was leading up to it. You thought that scene was going to be the big scene where Malick was killed, and nope. No, that was a swerve, because he killed Malick's daughter in front of him to teach Malick a lesson.
Which is surely going to backfire on him, because it's going to mean Malick's going to have a reason to help Coulson and his group or something.
Yeah, or something. Who knows? But yeah, that was S.H.I.E.L.D. That was a very entertaining episode of television, I thought.
Very good.
I think S.H.I.E.L.D. has been killing it this season. I'm definitely super looking forward to the next episodes now that they're finally getting the Secret Warriors involved, all 4 of them.
So next season will be the Secret Warriors season. Right? Yeah. It's kind of at the point now where I'm wondering, like, are they going to just completely diverge from the cinematic universe now? Because what is the cinematic universe going to do with when they do Inhumans? It's like they're getting so much into the Inhuman story and stuff. Like, what are they going to do? They're not going to use the comic. They're not going to use the TV characters.
How do you know? I don't know. They're not going to diverge from, because that would be dumb. But yeah.
Yeah, I hope not.
I hope not either.
But man, they're treading a lot of territory with going into a lot of Inhuman territory with
S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah.
But I like it. I definitely enjoy it. I love seeing Daisy blow up all the landmines. Using her powers. That was cool.
Oh yeah, that was a cool scene. Yeah, definitely. All right, that about wraps it up. Do you have anything you want to plug this week?
Well, check out the website, TVEnthusiast.com. I just put up the first of our news videos. It's short. It's about 5 minutes long, and I'm going to do these weekly, where I basically take all of the news from the past week and talk about kind of the big events from it, and do it news style with like a little split screen that shows relevant imagery and stuff. And so the first one's up right now on the site if you want to check that out. And we also do a podcast every Thursday we record, which will be out on Fridays then, called The Weekly Set. And you can check that out as well, or any of our other content on the site.
All right, awesome. You can always follow me at Voxel Hero on Twitter. And you can see me every week on this show, as well as I'm a member of the Weekly Set, our weekly podcast, which we do every Thursday evening.
And the Game of Thrones one coming up too.
There's a Game of Thrones. We do have a Game of Thrones one. We're the same thing as last year. We're doing for Game of Thrones. So that starts as soon as the first, right after the first episode airs. So look forward to that. And just keep tuning in to TV Enthusiast for all your information on television. All right. Well, everybody have a good night. Bye.
Bye.